Welcome to this deadly deliverability dogma for leading e-commerce brands asking why the hell their open rates are dropping and dropping and dropping, how to conquer your prospects' email inbox by never landing in promo or spam again while profiting from presumed dead subscribers without having to become a DNS nerd or signing up to any computer science college. By simply watching this, whatever minutes we end up with, video. By the end, you know everything you need to know about email deliverability, sender reputation, the real reason Gmail and Yahoo are constantly changing their requirements, and why it will get worse over time. And we're starting off with a meme as usual. You can see here, this is from a well-known film. I have no idea. I think it's like Family Millers or something. I have no idea. And it's basically like, wait, you guys have open rates higher than 30%? Because that's probably you and most of the brands we talk with. But in the first place, why should I care? Why should you care about this stuff? Don't get me wrong, there are not that many things in email marketing less sexy than DKIM, DMARC, SPF records, and don't even get me started on email sender reputation, postmasters, and dedicated IPs. However, after realizing how impactful understanding these basic deliverability guidelines are, you'll probably fall in love just by seeing the additional cash you can earn without having to do any extra work. Increasing your deliverability is probably the easiest way to make more cash in the bank with your current email list. Picture this. You've got an email list of, let's say, 52,000 people. Out of this, only a meager, like 17.5% or around 9,200 people open your emails. Of these, a tiny 2% or 184 click through to your website. And with a 2% conversion rate on your page, you are lucky to make like 4 sales. But rest assured, I got you. It doesn't have to be this way. Just go through this simple guide. I will give you everything you need to know. You will give your current deliverability protocol a glow up and see the magic unfold for you. What if I told you that after implementing just 60 to 70% of what I will teach you in this video, you could see the following. The same email list, but now, let's say around 48% of your audience opens your emails. That's a staggering 25,000 people seeing your content. That's like 2.7 times the amount of people reading your emails with $0 in extra cost. Don't believe it's possible? Let's take a look what we did for Sweat & Milk in less than 60 days. So we went from a master list, which is basically the agency prior to us used to blast to the entire list. They got around 9,200 people opening their emails, which is 70.5%. That's why I chose these numbers in the first place. And then we did our stuff. We also cleaned the list a bit, so it wasn't 52,000. It was a bit less, but 25,000 people opened the emails after 60 days. And that's the same list send. It's 60% because, as I said, we did some cleaning, and then we end up with these numbers. So maintaining a 2% click-through rate, we now have 500 visitors on your website, and voila, with the same 2% conversion rate, we now have 10 plus buyers. Assuming you sell at a 75 AOV, instead of doing 300 for this campaign, you now make 750 from one single email. Assuming you follow a conservative 2 weekly emails instead of doing 2,400 with your campaigns a month, you now do 6,000. That's like literally 3,600 additional profit, subtracting, of course, cost of goods sold per month. Let's imagine you would have seen this video a year ago, and now you literally made like 2,400. 3,600 times 12. That's like 43,200 in almost pure profit. That's the equivalent of this day date. So imagine, I would have recorded this video a year ago. You would have watched this video. You could now like literally just buy this or, reinvest it into the business. So sticking to the end and implementing what I'm about to unveil is one, if not the highest ROI task you could do right now. And to make it even crazier, I only covered the impact deliverability has on super simple generic evergreen campaigns. I didn't even mention flows or higher intense send periods, like for example, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I just assumed you send like basic stuff all the time. I know it might sound too good to be true, and I know there are many people talking the talk, but they never, the last thing they do is walk the walk. But just take a look at the following before continuing to trusting a random guy looking like a fucking egg. So this is Brandon, 8-figure brand owner, founder of Fancy.com. What he said: I love working with Lucas and his agency. They've done a spectacular job, provide blah, 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 blah. I will not run this entire thing in this video. You can just get the dog and go through things and see all of the testimonials, because, quite frankly, people literally put their face in front of the camera saying that they love to work with us. So if brands like them are so happy that they put themselves on camera to record those feedbacks, it might be worth looking into the guidelines I will start sharing now. Make sure to stick till the end if you want to learn more about the dirty secret scoreboard email providers like Gmail, Yahoo, and Outlook unapologetically base you on, how a simple 10-minute tech setup can literally make you a millionaire, the obvious yet not fully utilized anti-spam guidelines we usually only share with clients, and why your email will never reach their fullest potential without using this new black hat protocol. Okay, that was quite a long intro, but it was necessary. Why? Because, as I said, the following stuff is super boring, like super boring. But most of the time, the boring stuff is what makes us the most money, right? So let's get into the meat of this video. The stuff I hyped about, here's the agenda and things we will cover. First of all, I will go through the technical foundation, DNS records, dedicated IPs, and email sender reputation. I will then go into the never spam protocol that we use for all of our clients, list hygiene, content, deliverability hacks, and then we will go into the third part, which is basically back to Heights protocol. It's basically a guide on how to get out of spam fast. In case, you got an agency or you fucked up something on your own, whatever the case, you just go through that and within like 15, 30, maximum 45 days, you're Gucci again. So let's start with the technical foundation. Let's start with something that now became necessary for everyone. What I'm talking about is moving to a dedicated sending domain. Gmail and Yahoo changed their requirements in February 2024, so this is no longer nice to have. We advise that for all of our brands because it was just the best. You literally had an unfair advantage because no one else was doing that. And just by doing that, you literally landed in the inbox. Now it's like necessary, but it's also quite simple, and most of you guys will probably already have this set up. But let's cover it real quick. I do have a dedicated tutorial here, which is like 9 minutes long, that you can just go through. But to sum it up, you just literally go open Klaviyo. Let me just give me 1 second. So this is how your Klaviyo should look like. You then just click on here, and then you have like all the accounts basically. But you basically go here and click on settings, and then you basically click on email, and then you click on domains. And then you just literally follow what they put here together because it's quite frankly just the entire tutorial. It's not that hard to set up. You just basically, create a sending domain, click on edit. In that case, it should probably be, let's just remove the domain. You click on add, and then you just, use your root domain, which, whatever you use. Use the sending domain. You can put whatever you want here. Doesn't really matter. Have that, and then you could choose static. You click on next, and then you have these DNS records that will pop up in a second. 1 second. So you then collect like any, they try to help you, but just click on other, or if your DNS provider is there, you can just click on it because they help you a lot, and these are kind of the most common ones. Let's go just on other, and as they say, log into your DNS account, select your domain, manage your DNS records. Just log into your DNS records and then simply put these DNS records in. DNS records, just like look up a tutorial. As I said, it depends heavily on what kind of DNS provider you use. Maybe you use Cloudflare, GoDaddy, Google moved over to Squarespace, maybe you use Squarespace. Whatever the case is, it's just basically a DNS record. So you just put in a value and host, and then you can select the record type, and that's it. Boom, done. And then here you can see we need the CNAME, the host should be sent, and then you just copy paste this, copy paste those 4 records, click on save, boom, done. You're on dedicated sending domain. Cool. So that's that. Copy the DNS records, blah, 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 blah. That's it. Next, you need to add a DMARC record. I have another video on that as well, so make sure to check out the entire YouTube channel. But to sum it up, same process, add a DNS record with the following details. Record type should be TXT, host should be _DMARC, value, just copy paste this, that's it. Everything should be green in your Klaviyo account. Let's quickly look into a topic that is never discussed in the US market, but it gets more and more important, especially if you are like an international brand that scales into Germany. German accounts know that because I'm from Germany and we work with German clients. It's a pretty common topic there, but no one from the US is doing that, and it's literally like losing them like tens, if not 100,000 a month. Because the reason for that is there's a difference between dedicated IP and shared IP. What I covered now is the difference between a shared sending domain and the dedicated sending domain, but it gets even more granular when you talk about IPs. So what you can do is actually check into your Gmail. Let me just quickly show you that. So for example, here it's just a brand, and then you can click on these 3 dots, and then you basically go into show original. And then what you basically see in Gmail is you see DKIM pass, DMARC pass, so everything is set up properly, but you can see the IP that you're using here in the SPF records. And like in 100% of the cases, 99% of the cases, this will be Klaviyo's shared IP. But what you can do is, if you work with German clients, you can actually move to a dedicated IP, which is basically, instead of sharing an IP and if someone else messes something up, your deliverability gets impacted as well, or basically your IP might get blocked and banned, even though you have not done anything, is because someone that shares the same IP that you're using did something wrong. So that might happen, but it's usually not really that interesting, as long as you're not running into scaling German brands. But if you're looking to do that, feel free to hit me up. I can share that with you. But let me just quickly cover that here as well to have everything. If you check more blah, 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 so it might be that if they do share the things, they are mainly to local providers. As I said, it's more so a German thing, and it gets quite interesting. So there are mainly two local email providers, T-Mobile and Freenet, that literally get blocked completely if you're sending from Klaviyo. And the reason for that is they want you to send through a dedicated IP so they can see, okay, this is this sender, and they literally block everything else. And if you're using Klaviyo's one, they block all the Klaviyo IPs. So these two email providers are paid. So the people using those providers, they have a huge buying power, because why would, not the majority of people will pay for like their email provider. Which is also the reason why we had to get so nerdy about this stuff, is that we learned that through trial and error, because we were just like, we need to figure something out. And then we realized that, and that's why we are so nerdy about things. It's literally losing hundreds of thousands of dollars for German brands, so this needs to be fixed ASAP. It's also good to have the setup in general, since you can pretty much hold all of the responsibility of your email health in your hands and not rely on other brands not fucking things up, right? Here are the requirements. Klaviyo need to be able to move you to a dedicated IP in the first place. You literally need to contact a Klaviyo rep and say, hey, we want to have a dedicated IP. And then they go through the account and they do the setup. You can literally not do it on your own. An account has to meet the following requirements to qualify for a dedicated IP address. They have a dedicated account manager. You need to send at least 1 million emails a month. If you work with an agency and they have a rep, this can be negotiated. It doesn't have to be a 1 million. I think we moved one account over at like 300K a month. Sender requirements: 30% or greater open rates for the first campaign, 20% or greater for subsequent campaigns in the first month, 10% or greater. This is easy. Campaign deliverability performance then less than 1% bounce rate. This is really important. Less than 0.5% unsubscribe rate. Less than 0.1% marked as spam rate. The good thing is that you hold like all the responsibility in your court. What also means if you fuck something up, you cannot get a new IP. You can, like, if you, for example, what you can request, if you contact Klaviyo, it's like, hey, we're on this shared IP and it doesn't really suit us. Can we get a new IP? They're able to do that. But if you get a dedicated IP and you mess something up, you're screwed. Like, they will not give you a new dedicated IP. They would mainly probably get you back to a shared IP, and then you can never ever use a dedicated IP again. So that's really, really important. So yeah, if you're below that but still want to move over, as I said, feel free to ping me and I'll try to ask our Klaviyo rep. Next big topic is understanding email sender reputation. So that was all nerdy tech stuff, but now it gets into like the nitty-gritty of, okay, understanding what impacts our sender reputation in the first place. Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, they are all like email providers, and they have postmasters. What this is basically like their support, and they basically keep track of things. So you can literally reach out to them and ask them like, hey, we see that we have some deliverability issues. We're not landing in the inbox for some of your emails. Is there something that we did wrong in the past that you base us on, and that's why we're landing in spam? And if so, we were not aware of that. Could you please unblock us? We will make sure to not do that again, because as I said, we were not aware of that. And you can just like, these are human, you can just like basically talk with them and make sure that, hey, like, we didn't realize we did that, or excuse me, blah, 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 and then, they open you up again. And that's basically, you can reach out to them. But why do they put you into the spam in the first place? It's basically a sender reputation, is what it's called. And it's pretty much what it is. It's reputation as a sender. And with reputations, there are things that boost your reputation, and there are things that destroy that. The best thing to do is to do as many good things as possible and stop the bad stuff from happening. The good stuff, for example, is people you send to open the email, they click the email, they reply to their email, they mark the email as important. Bad stuff is, for example, you send to a lot of people and they never open an email, or they mark your email as spam, or the email bounces, or they have a bad customer experience in general. Customer as in, email inbox. What I refer to is like loading speed, getting clipped, all of that sort of stuff. Unsubscribes are not that good, and definitely no-go is a no unsubscribe link. I think you might get it. It's actually quite straightforward how like email sender reputation works. So before actually going into any email strategy, audit your account if you maximize the good stuff and cut out all the bad things. Because the specific protocol we follow is literally just doing that with the approach of these things in mind. So before doing that, as I said, you should pretty much have all the technical setups, things set up. So now feel free to forget everything nerdy so we can get into the actual email strategies to maximize open rates. I'm going to share the never spam protocol. As previously mentioned, as long as we keep email sender reputation high, we're good. Do more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. But how does that actually look like on email level? The first thing we need to take care of is segmentation. Personal take, we use segmentation more for deliverability purposes instead of like fancy micro segments, but that's completely something for another video. And that's mainly for brands that do like less than 50 million a year, which most brands that look at YouTube video probably do. So here are the segments we use to maximize deliverability. First of all, exclude the following segments. We have list clean segment 1, which is basically everyone who received a specific amount of emails and has not opened a single one. Usually you can play around with like 10, 15. This depends on like what you have done in the past. For example, if you have never sent any emails or do not have any data, we can like not use that because we haven't sent to these people. This basically removes all the dead weight that already got quite a few emails but never opened a single one. So the likelihood of them opening your next email is close to 0. In scorecard languages, we remove non-openers, which then boosts deliverability. List clean segment 2, mark email as spam at least once, or email bounce at least once, or email dropped at least once. What we do here is we remove people who negatively interact with our emails. This can be marking as spam, bouncing emails, or dropped emails. By doing that, you already filter out a lot and you improve your stats to therefore increase sender reputation and therefore your deliverability. Now you need to take a look at the open rate for 30 days engaged, 60 days engaged, 90 days engaged, 120 days engaged, 180 days engaged, or 365 days engaged. And what engaged means is literally up to you. Like, it doesn't really matter what you pick. We pick literally just like email opens and email clicks. That's that. Like, you do not need to overcomplicate it, because in essence, it's like no matter what you use, you just use something, and then in the long run, it will just basically ease out to pretty much the same strategy. So yeah, that's that. You can do and check all these open rates by sending a campaign and put all these segments into the segments to send to, and then take a look at the segment breakdown afterwards. So that's something that Klaviyo like recently integrated. It's basically a segment breakdown of all the segments you choose, and then you can take a look at, okay, the open rate for this campaign, for this segment is this, and for this segment is that, and then you can see, okay, where's the majority of people and what kind of segment we can use for regular campaigns. To further fully understand your current email deliverability, you can also use inbox tests such as GlocApps.com, and you can just like in GlocApps you can see the email breakdown of like, okay, Outlook, Hotmail, Gmail, and all the different things that you can see. Oh, like there might be some email provider specifically that is causing some issues, and not like in general. That's actually most of the time the case in the wild. So if you see then any specific email provider causing issues, you can just adjust your segments to be higher engaged for this specific email provider. Because if we think about the strategy, as I said, is we want to have the highest open rates while maintaining the highest amount of people opening your stuff. So what you can do to boost deliverability long term, you can in the short term just increase open rates by sending to higher engaged segments. So that's what you can do for this specific email provider. So instead of sending to 120 days engaged in general, like for everyone, you send to 120 days engaged segment, excluding this email provider, and then you include the 30 days engaged segment from this email provider that I mentioned. Do this for a couple of cents and then slowly increase the engaged segment and then monitor the open rates. There's no real benchmarks you want to be within. I know that's something that a lot of people love to use, like, hey, you have to be specific at 30%, at 40%, at 70%, whatever the case. It really depends heavily on the account itself, where the emails are from, and all the past data, and do you have iOS opens included, and like all of the different stuff. So I do not want to like put a number out here, but you basically play the game of having the highest amount of recipients opening your emails while keeping the email open rates the highest. So our sending protocol usually alters between higher engaged segments like 60 days for majority of sends, with occasional 180 days sends to funnel back people into the 60 days engaged segments, plus some list blasts. You can always play around, maybe 90, maybe 120, whatever the thing is. You just basically have most of the stuff for the higher engaged, and then you maybe like 40, 30% of the sends are a bit broader, and then 1 or 2 cents a month are basically some list blasts to like funnel people back into our high engaged segments. Be careful with those, since you have a lot of that inboxes that you will reach out to, killing your deliverability. Now let's quickly cover all the content of your emails, because that's also quite interesting and impacts your deliverability. Make subject lines and preview text eye-catchy, pattern interrupting, open loops, whatever the case is, to get this subscriber thinking and clicking, because as we know, the more opens, the better for the deliverability. Sell them the open. By doing that, you will naturally see your open rate skyrocket, +1 for your reputation, as we already learned. Do some A/B tests with different styles to see what your audience wants. I think that's something that like a lot of people neglect, is that like different audiences prefer different strategies when it comes to like opening the emails in general. Like some like to have more clickbaity things, and some absolutely hate that. Whatever the case is, just test and see how your audience interacts with your emails. To increase sender reputation long term, you can always throw in some call to actions that are not just click here to buy, but rather reply. So you can throw in some call to actions that are not just like click here to buy, but rather reply with, and then whatever suits the campaign right now. So for example, I don't know, you have like summer travels, and then at the end you say, hey, like buy our stuff. And then, oh, by the way, like let me know what your travel plans are this year. And then people reply, which then, boosts deliverability, because we know reply rate is heavily impacting our sender reputation. Another point is you always want to compress your images. Just use tinypng.com, tinyjpeg.com, whatever it is, or any other site for that. The reason is that email providers also look at the overall customer experience. And if they see some huge images, usually like everything about like 1 megabyte, they will see that as a bad experience for their customers, because that basically takes a long time to load, which then doesn't make sense for them. So as we learned, decreases sender reputation, bad customer experience. Especially with GIFs, this might get tricky to play around. So make sure to use GIF compressing tools as well. If you ever catch yourself dropping to door open rates so low, you think, what the fuck, where's the food happening? You need to try our next point, which is the simple bank to heights protocol. So this is basically everything in regards to the technical setup, the content-based, the segments, like everything you can do in Klaviyo. But the next one is specifically for when you dropped your open rates. So just by doing the stuff that I shared with you, you pretty much fix like 95% of all email deliverability and open rate issues. But something happens. Maybe you see some dedicated email inbox that is causing some issues, and you want to do stuff that basically gets you back to heights. We have this protocol. We use that, I think, 2, 3, maximum 5 times over our history, because quite frankly, if we take an account over, most of the time it's pretty straightforward to get the protocol back high. But sometimes even with us, like for example, I can remember one client specifically. They wanted to run a country-specific campaign, and we did that like 2-3 cents. And this country, the emails we got from this country were not that highly qualified, so we ended up with like 2, 3, 4, 5 cents with like 15-20% open rates, and this hurt like our overall deliverability, and that was quite super confusing. But it happens. So what we needed to do is basically use the back to heights protocol to basically get back to heights. So as long as you're having the above dialed in, there should not be a single reason why you end up in spam. But most brands are not aware of that, so they might start at lower open rates, and this is also what we see when we take over accounts, or sometimes we tend to forget the stuff I shared. So running straight up into issues. So in case something like that happened, keep on reading because I'm about to share you our fast process to get open rates up. There are mainly two hacks. The first one is a whitelist campaign. You might not know, but marking an email as important plus replying is the biggest booster for your email sender reputation. It's insane. So we could either hope that someone of our subscribers do that randomly, but what if I told you that there's a way to significantly increase the amount of replies and marking as importance? What I'm referring to is basically a giveaway, and to participate, people need to reply to the email plus mark the email as important. This is quite manual, but you will get a lot of replies. You need to track them in a spreadsheet to pick up a winner, which then boosts deliverability like crazy because you get replies and you get people marking your email as important. You cannot really track that, but we basically take everything that we get here. You can always run it whenever you see open rates decline, or what we do also like to do is we run it before and after bigger selling times. So usually before Black Friday, we know, okay, this one will get a bit spicy, and it's naturally to drop in open rates during that time. But in order to prepare, and especially during that time, like everyone else will have issues. So if you have a strong reputation before you build that up, you will have a lot of fun and money in your bank account. It looks like the following. So it's basically literally just like, hey, we have a giveaway. Hey, and what to do is you start this email plus reply with either what you want or what you're looking for or whatever you basically can play around and frame it in a way that makes sense for you guys. After combining all of the above with this, your open rate should be back to heights at no time. As I said, what you can also do is play around with the different sender segments. So, for example, if you run into like heavy deliverability issues, you should go back to 30 days, if not 14 days, if not 7 days buyers. Those people will open up 100%. So if you want to get back, you might start there and then go up bit by bit. So you do 7 days buyers, 7 days in general, 14 days in general, 14 days buyers, you can play around and then go through 30 days and use that protocol alongside the giveaway angle. But you should, now the segments we use to get back to highs, the whitelist campaign we use to get back to highs, the technical setup, what impacts your deliverability, and now the email content stuff, so you pretty much know everything. You also know what to do when you end up in spam and want to adjust things fast. That's already huge for your brands. However, I still haven't shared everything. There's a little golden nuggets some people charge you 6K for. I know, seriously, there's like some people out there. There's one guy specifically that's charging 6K for the following. And it's basically, it comes down to the whole theory of, if you ever send a plain text email, you see that those usually tend to have higher open rates. And the reason for that is that email providers, I know it's an ongoing discussion, and most of the people will say, full image emails, they do not impact your deliverability. What we've seen across the brand, across the board for brands, it does. And maybe we're wrong here, but whatever the case is, there's one little hack that it's basically coming down to the image to text ratio. And what you can do is you can literally just put a super long mission statement below your email, which boosts the image to text ratio in favor to the text. Because if you ever send a plain text email, as I said in the past, you've seen those tend to have higher open rates. So we can use that to our advantage by adding things like the following. So it's literally like just a mission statement, like, hey, we do this, blah, blah, blah. We do this for the last blah, 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 blah. And this is what our goal is with the brand. This is what you can expect from us, blah, 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 blah. And you do that in like a longer period, a longer phrase. And then you basically talk a little bit about like privacy policy and stuff. And that's it. But use your own brand and wording. It's basically just a mission statement, some policy things with font size 10, 12, or something that doesn't look horrible. And this is how it looks like in the wild. And that's pretty much it, guys. By going through all of that, you have all the knowledge necessary to keep your open rates high and your email sales flourishing. You saw what we're doing for all of our clients. Now go and use it to your own advantage. But if you're like majority of people going through this doc, you either think, oh my gosh, this is great, I'm going to implement all of this and print money, or you think this is great, but I have no idea time to implement all of this. If you're person one, nice, I'd love to hear that. Wish you best of luck, and feel free to email me at, there's my email in case you have any questions along the way, or comment below, or whatever, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case is, wherever you watch this video, make sure to reply and let me know in case that helped. If you're a person too, you can schedule a call with me. Super easy. We just like literally chat. But if I would be you, I wouldn't wait too long. I operate a small team of killers that love to work really close with the brands we partner up with. It's like pretty much all the brands we work with. It's pretty much like we work on like literally if it's our brand. It's not like, oh, there's a client, whatever. It's literally like our brand. And due to that, and because I don't want to scale the team too much, we are limited in the number of brands we can provide A+ service for. And I had everything below A+. So schedule a call and secure a spot before we are full. We had a wait list in the past, so that's the worst case scenario. And you definitely don't want this to happen before we're going into Q4 this year. What will happen on the call, we just basically have a chat, I get a better understanding, and if I think I might be able to help you, I'll record an audit. I just go through the entire Klaviyo account, I audit from A to Z, deliverability, campaign strategy, flow strategy, pop-up strategy, everything pretty much. And then you, worst case scenario, have like a really good audit that you can run with your team or any other agency that you want to work with. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Schedule a call. PS, I know that some people still doubt us, need social proof or case studies even after reading. How many pages is that? Like 17. So yeah, here's some kitchen craft. We helped. They do 5 million plus a year. We gave them a 284% revenue boost within the first 30 days of working together. Shredder Milk, another 7-figure store. Within the first 70 days, we increased their annual revenue by 437. MDNT 45, we grew their revenue to 50% coming from email after putting in our Black Friday strategy. You can find more stuff on my YouTube channel. I'm happy to refer to any brands we worked with in the past. Currently, most of them, pretty much everyone has good things and are open to share stuff with you. So if you have any questions, let me know. Regarding onboarding and how we work, our process is quick, 1 hour, blah, 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 blah. So let's get started. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Talk soon.